Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life can be miserable, it can be dark, so we're here to bring you some joy and bring you some light. Hi Bradley, once again joined by Stu. How are we doing this week, Stu?
Yeah, pretty good. All getting geared up for the house move, which is pretty exciting. And most exciting at the moment, well, there's a few things, and they're all very nerdy. The first is that I bought some electrical sockets and light switches faces to put on stuff because I was like, they might sell out, and I really want them. So even though I haven't even moved into the house, I've done that because I was overexcited. And I'm really excited about the fact they've got ultra fast broadband that we'll be switching to when we go there. So it'll be like nearly 1 gigabit per second. So nearly, what's that? Like around 100 megabytes a second type speeds.
Yes, is that with Virgin by any chance?
No, it's Talk actually.
Oh, they do 1 gig now?
Apparently so. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So that's exciting. And yeah, there you go.
Obviously, you've made a really important house move purchase as well.
Oh
Stu.
God, yeah. I couldn't resist. So I was looking into playing PSP games in VR because you can do that, and I was getting excited. And so
Outrun.
Yeah, exactly. Outrun, Ridge Racer, Wipeout, all of those things. And I was like, it might not work brilliantly, but we'll give it a go. So first off, got my Oculus Rift out. I'm took me forever to get it working. I haven't used it for about a year, maybe a little less. But all the new software and the whole move to meta and all this crap doesn't work properly. All sorts of things mucking me about. I can just about get the Oculus stuff and Steam VR working, but over and above that, nothing. Pain in the arse. I was like, right, okay, well, that's a pain in the arse. Then found out that I wouldn't be able to do this PPSSPP VR anyway. So I was like, right, that's it. I'm buying a Quest 2, and so I sorted one of them out, and now I have to sell loads of stuff because I can't afford to have done that. So my bank manager is currently sharpening knives and ready to slit my throat, and yeah.
And Mel turned around and went, if you want to live in the virtual world, you can move virtually on your own.
Exactly. It should be quite within her rights to do so. Yeah. Dumb purchases ahoy.
What you've got now, though, is anything she needs you to actually do, physical-wise. You can't go, but you've got to pretty much do it now just to not get it in the ear.
Well, we have a good kind of, you can spend your money on whatever you like thing going on, but it's kind of we're supposed to be downsizing stuff to move. Yeah. And I'm like, well, technically I am because I'm selling my Rift, so that's a 1-for-1 swap. But of course,
the Meta's too smaller. Yeah. It's slightly smaller. Yeah. I can prove it.
You've got one, yeah. You can prove that as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just daft, but hopefully it'll be fun when it gets here.
Talking of downsizing, did you know Matt Damon likes video games?
I did not, but I'm not surprised.
That's a segue and a segue, isn't it? That's pretty good. Yeah. Someone's you've got to know about one of Matt Damon's worst films to get that one.
Yeah, I'd quite like to see it, even though it's not supposed to be good.
Yeah, I know. The concept's really good. The idea of it, I love the idea of what the film's about, but apparently it's just not written very well.
Yeah.
Talking of Matt Damon, he's a good egg, Matt Damon. He was doing an interview and they was talking about the people you've got lots of famous quotes from films and stuff like that. He goes the people often come up to you and talk do some of your Good Will Hunting quotes or your Dogma quotes and stuff like that.
I can see where this is going.
And he turned around and he went, no, he goes, most people come up to me and shout at me, Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
But he loves it. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. He's not bitter about it at all, which I love.
That is good.
He realises how privileged he actually is. Yeah.
I'd find it hard to resist going, how do you like them apples? That's what I'd have to do.
Them apples. Oh dear. But see, this was a clever segue that I hadn't actually thought about until I started and went, this actually works. So I'm going to take the first game today because it segues nicely. And the first game I've been playing is Moviehouse, the film studio tycoon.
Oh, okay.
Which is so do you know like those games like Startup Panic or the Kairosoft ones where like you got to make like computer games and sell and make profit, and like Pocket Stables and whatever, Pocket Football Team, all those ones.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't know them, but yeah.
It was popular on mobile and stuff like that a little while back. But yeah, basically the Tycoon games. But this is one of them, essentially, but trying to be a bit more fleshed out. So you basically run a new movie studio that started off with nothing. You start by making like small independent short films, and then eventually the idea is to become the biggest studio in the world. And yeah, you go through, you hire writers, directors, actors, producers, etc., etc., etc. You have to haul your film out to like different production companies or whatever, so they can sort of like promote your film or put it under their label and stuff. And it's basically watch the numbers go up, the game, which is what all these are. And it's really good. It's a really good game. Like it's got some. The artwork's okay, like in terms of the actual graphics of the game, but it's got like loads of fake logos for production companies and movie posters and stuff like that, and they are really cool. They are really well done. They put a lot of effort into that side of it, which is really good. And it feels good, like when you put a movie out there and it gets like good ratings and like makes lots of money, and you make a big blockbuster and stuff like that. It doesn't do anything this genre's never done before. So you've got to balance the books. You've got to deal with studio problems and all that kind of thing. And I've been playing it on the deck for the last week or so. And yeah, I've really been enjoying it. The only issue I have with it comes from the controls. It's very much mouse controls, and no one's created a community profile for it yet, which is going to bring me later on to a bit of a longer, not rant, but thing I want to talk about. But yeah, I really enjoy it. The controls need work, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's just one of those guys, a nice game, and I like just nice games.
Yeah, I always kind of view those, what are they called? Like, I don't know what you'd call them, but sort of simulators of global capitalism.
Basically capitalist simulators.
Yeah. I think, that's kind of fun. It's better to be doing it in fiction than in reality, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really my sort of game, they look like they're those numbers going up things are always fun if you get into them.
Yeah, and it's a good one. I mean, again, it's good. It's not as good as the Kairosoft stuff. So, like Game Dev Story is like probably the most well-known one. Pocket Stables is pretty well-known. I'm trying to think of one of the other sort of like Grand Prix Story, done really well. Tennis Club Story, all of those type of ones. They done sort of like mega numbers a while back, and Kairosoft have made like about 500 of the bloody things now. So I prefer those. I prefer the look of those, and they're a bit more easy to get into. But as I said, I'm enjoying this. It's not perfect, but it's a lovely time waster. One I don't mind popping on, playing for half an hour, and then jibbing off again till maybe I'll probably like do that and then play it again like a couple of weeks later and pick it up for something to do. But yeah, it's good, really good.
Nice.
By the way, you can pick up the Kairosoft bundle for £211.
Oh,
that's how many of those games there are.
Oof.
And they're only a couple of quid each. There's lots.
God, blimey. Yeah, well,
I can't imagine anyone would want the bundle of that. You can't what I will say is once you've played one or two of those, you've pretty much played them all. Yeah. It's just different skins. So I don't know why anyone would want the bundle. I get finding like having all those options. So like there's a sushi restaurant one and stuff like that. I get it. Someone might really want to run a sushi restaurant, so you get that. But I don't know if I want every single game, so I don't know why they've got a bundle. But hey, I'm sure there is someone out there.
Yeah. There's probably a couple of whales who are happy to do that. Yeah, but
yeah, I don't know why a couple in Wales will want those, but
oh dear, oh
they need something to do in the valleys.
oh Bradley, oh so disappointed in you.
No, you're not.
No, I expect it, to be honest.
Yeah. So what's next from you?
Well, I've been playing one that's pretty much brand new. It only came out at the end of March, and it was recommended.
No.
Yeah.
Bull crap.
Yeah, I've completed, right?
Bull crap, Stu.
I've completed this year 3 video games that were released this year. 3.
Hell.
A full 3.
Ooh.
Yep. They're not exactly like major AAA titles or anything, but yeah, they're there. Oh, and this one was called Gunsuit Guardians, and it's a Vampire Survivors alike. And when I say alike, I mean like total complete rip-off. But it's got, enough...
I've got faults, but you carry on.
I'm sure you have. So yeah, they, mostly Vampire Survivors. But, I mean, it's got enough nuance to make it worthwhile playing. And it's early access at the moment, so there's only, like, the first level. And, I rinsed that in the first day, although it's, it's challenging enough. But the first level of that is not as tough as the first level of Vampire Survivors. So, based on current evidence, it's slightly easier, although that doesn't mean it's easy. Like Vampire Survivors, you can, have different characters. They've got different sort of base builds. You can increase the background stats in roguelike fashion. It's a shooter rather than a kind of adventure styled game, and the sort of biggest nuance change is big nuance, that's really kind of contradiction, but one nuanced change then is that it has auto fire, which Vampire Survivors does. Where the weaponry in that is kind of mostly area effect, and some of them is lock on. This is more kind of, it's more directed. It's more lock on. I mean, feel free to completely disagree with this when you get to it. You probably remember Vampire Survivors better than me, but yeah, and you can opt to either take over and do manual aim with the right thumbstick, or you can turn off auto aim completely or back on again, toggle it with R1. And that's really nice because sometimes you want to concentrate fire on one of the big enemies that comes in rather than just, let the stuff take over. But the AI controlled stuff is really accurate and really good. And it feels a bit like, like Iron Man absolutely unloading on everyone, like in the films kind of thing, or Death Blossom in that film I can't remember the name of. But yeah, so yeah, it's really good. The theme is good. The graphics are appealing, and it's got carved out its own little kind of VS style niche as well.
Yeah, so I'm with you with that. Vampire. Before I get going though, has a game ever as quickly turned into a full blown genre as Vampire Survivors? Because we now have the Survivors like.
I don't think it has. I think. Yeah, well, maybe back in a smaller scale, perhaps on the BBC on the computer micros back in the 80s, but only
we were still looking at a developing industry. Then,
yeah,
so.
Yeah, and there were only really certain types of games you could make, so it's like, yeah, you were copying them because that's all the computers could do. But
yeah. It's like the Souls like they come about, but that was after a few games,
Yeah.
But Vampire Survivors just went, this is out and this is a genre now.
Yeah, it's really, really taken everything by storm. So no, I think you're probably right. I think it's a new thing.
But Gunsuit Guardians, you very kindly gifted this to me, and I'm so glad you did because I really like it.
Yep.
My problem with the Survivors is so many of them are just like it's Survivors with a different skin, which is fine, but yeah, I've already got the best of the best. Whereas what this is doing for me is it's changed it up enough that I can play it alongside it, and it feels like a different game. And the ability, when you get that moment of, I can actually just concentrate my fire on this first big boss and just deal the damage to the boss. That's just a proper eureka moment in the game.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And you've got the excuse me, you've got the power up as well, which I really like that you can use. So I think like on the main first character, it's like turns the shield on, and then you've got the ability to dash as well, which is really good, which adds something else to it. And yeah, it's a great take. It's almost like a sequel to Vampire Survivors rather than a Me Too. No, don't use Me Too. That's the wrong context. Rather than a clone.
Yes, yeah,
of it. And for that reason, it stands out, and it's only £2.49. So it understands one of the reasons Vampire Survivors was as popular as what it was.
Yeah, it's worth selling, $1 million at a low price than it is, 10,000 at a high price, without a doubt. And it's the right price point. And like you say, those gameplay tweaks and developments from the other game turn it more into, like, Vampire Survivors feels like its DNA is in, mobile gaming, which is not a criticism. It's just, a fact. Whereas this doesn't feel like a mobile game. I mean, technically you could probably play it as a mobile game, but it feels like a quote-unquote full game. It feels like it's designed from the ground up with a controller in mind, and there's very few. There are auto functions, but it doesn't feel like it's automated to the point where you just move your character around and there's more interaction, and at moments it feels like a full shoot 'em up rather than a VS alike. And that's really to its credit. And I can't wait for it to get a full release and have some extra levels and tweakable difficulty and different weaponry and all sorts. Two
things. My fault with it, and this is the biggest compliment I will pay this game. This, had it released on the Vita, would have been one of the biggest indie darlings ever.
Yeah.
Shahid Kamal, when he was doing all his work with the Vita, would have been shouting about this game from the rooftops, and that's what it feels like. It feels like it was that prime indies are taking over the Vita type game that would have been perfect on it.
Yeah, it's that kind of Binding of Isaac kind of impact, isn't it?
Yeah.
That level of impact.
But also, so I had a look at it, and it's, obviously I've looked at it because I've played it, but it's by Matt Glanville, who a lot of people won't know, but he's actually produced some really good games. He was responsible for a game I loved on the Switch that I've just realised is now also on PC, called Switch and Shoot, which is a very, very simple one-button vertical shooter, where you press the button to change lanes and then you're just shooting everything in front of you. It's really fun. But he's also got a game as well that I'm really interested in called Dungeon Death Ball, which is one of his most expensive at nearly a tenner. But it's a turn-based roguelite, which is kind of like a sports title, but set in a dungeon and stuff like that. And it looks really interesting. And it's one that's been on my wish list as well. So there's that, and he's got just loads of really good little niche games. So he's got like a sniper game that was a Game Jam entry, and like a bullet hell one as well. And they're all sort of like no more than three quid, apart from Dungeon Death Ball, which it's like he doing some really good stuff, and he's just an independent on his own developer, which is great. So reward Matt by Matt's games.
Yeah, I will definitely be checking them out. I saw that he had a good few. I was quite surprised because it is like, an indie release like this that not copies, but works in the same formula as Vampire Survivors. Oh, he'll be brand new on the scene. But no, got a good few. Yeah, I'm happy to chuck some cash his way.
Simplicity is what he does. Simplicity.
Yeah.
Core gameplay mechanics. Get those right, the rest will follow. And every single, like the other games of his that I've played, they do that.
Sweet.
So next up is something you'd wish I would stop doing, Stu. Okay, it's something you wish I would do, and it's called Unwording.
Harsh, but fair. Yeah,
it's true. And no, it's not about keeping an ADHD riddled Bradley quiet. It's a really unique-ish puzzle game that has emotions, shall we say. Lots of emotions. Deals with mental health in really interesting ways. So do you know, like, when you hit that stage of depression where everything you see, you convert into a negative for yourself?
I can.
So you hear
imagine.
someone, so you hear someone talking, or you hear two people talking, you think they're talking about you or what you're doing in a bad light, or you see things that people have got, and you're like, oh, I can't afford that. Of course, I can't afford that. That kind of thing.
Right.
It does that. So the game starts off. It's got lots of layers to it, but it kind of starts off that you walk through. You get these word puzzles. You'll see this word puzzle that might see like one example. You see one that says like 50% off meal for two. And then it takes you into the puzzle, and it's got blocks with the letters on for those words. And those words are like dice almost. Those letters are like dice. So on each one, it's got 6 sides, and it's got different letters. Some might be 2 blocks together, and they've got like grouped letters and stuff like that. And the idea is you take that statement and turn it into a statement that's negative about yourself. So meal for two, for example, might turn into I am alone. And it does that. You go on, and then another one where like co-workers are talking, and then you like it's like I think it's like chitter chatter or something like that. That is the words, and then that changes into talking about me, and so on and so forth. And he's got this starts off this really lovely, basic hand drawn animated thing going on that takes you through these puzzles. But as you go further, the game evolves quite a lot. So you go from like this 2D hand-drawn paper animation type thing to like this then 2.5D thing to then a full 3D thing, and the puzzles change as you go on through the game. And it's all about dealing with self-doubt and depression and stuff like that, but in a really, really heartwarming way. It's not insulting to depression. It's not doing just do this and you'll overcome all kinds of sadness and blah, blah, blah. It's not trying to give you a message or anything, but it does at the same time. It's got a message behind it that I think works very, very well. And I'm trying to skirt around trying to say too much because, again, I do not wish to ruin the experience for anyone that wants to play this. But, yeah, I'm infatuated with this game. I didn't think I would be. I wasn't sure what I was expecting when I picked it up. But it's lovely. It's not lovely. That's the thing. It is, but it isn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. There needs to be that kind of level of depth to games as we're going on in their development, and it sounds like one of those. There was that one I played a little while ago, and it sounds a little similarly themed. It's the one where you try. I can't remember what it's called. It's the one where you're bringing 2 lovers together, and you know that they're physically and mentally separate from one another, and you have to bring them together.
I forgot what it's called as well.
I'll look it up in a bit. But yeah, that's the kind of thing you need in terms of progress. You need something that does that has that level of sophistication. And I think they tried it about 20 years ago with like edutainment style games where it was mixing in real world stuff, but they always just tended to feel like school in the end. Whereas this seems like they've realised how to make proper games out of something that's both like affecting but educational is probably the wrong word, but it's informative at least.
Yes, it's not preaching as well. That's what I like. It's not trying to be preachy or anything. And I've seen, to some degree, as much as I love Senua's Sacrifice. That is the right one, isn't it? It's not. That's not the sequel, is it? No, Senua's Sacrifice. Yeah. As much as I love that, it's a little bit at times on the nose. And a bit preachy with stuff. Whereas this doesn't. This goes. This. I don't think I've ever related to mental health issues in a game as much as I have this.
Nice.
And then felt it's saying all the right things, and it's not it's not belittling me. It's not telling me this is how I deal with it, or it's not telling me this is how I feel. This is this person's journey, and I'm someone looking from the outside in, and I empathise with them, and I get it. And that's the overwhelming feeling I got from this. Was I came out of playing it, going, I get it. I get what this person's going through, and yeah, it's put down as a philosophical game, and I would go, yeah, that's a spot-on description for it. If you get a chance, play this game.
Yes, I really do want to play it. There's a demo for it, by the look of it, which is good. Check it out.
Don't play the demo.
Oh, okay.
Just go straight in, honestly.
Okay.
Honestly, it's not one of those that don't play the demo because it ruins everything, because I've not played the demo. Didn't know there was a demo. But honestly, I'd say just go straight in on this one. It's worth it.
Okay. It's not released yet, apparently, as of recording. Nope. But yeah, I
don't know if I've got a date. I've had it. Comes out the last week of April. I don't know if that's embargo. Doesn't say it's embargo to say that, but it comes out the last week of April. So if you're listening to this fresh, about a week or so to wait, but it's worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, I've wishlisted it, and I'll see how much it is and whether I've overspent on the Quest 2 by that point.
Do you know what? Depending on the cost, Stu, I might even gift it to you.
That's very thoughtful.
Yes. So what's next, Stu? Come on, move on.
Well, I've mostly been playing bitty bits of stuff, but I did complete Lunark that we talked about last week, and I think it was last week. My head is all over the place at the moment, but anyway. Yeah, I completed Lunark. Really, really, really liked it. It's one of those that gets, obviously, like, the game layers on the complexity and assumes that you've got more of a, better control over your character, so it can throw bigger challenges at you. That's what you expect, and that's what Flashback did. But what it also does, it adds some sort of design wrinkles, particularly to enemies and to, I won't say any more than that because I don't want to spoil it. But it adds wrinkles to it and to their behaviour that are very, very clever and really nice use of the environment and security features and locked doors and unlocked doors and just all sorts of little bits like that are reminiscent of the bit in Flashback where you're shooting those little alien kind of like squishy kind of bubble things, but takes that to another level. And so it's really clever. It takes that DNA and it goes, we're putting it on show. We're not covering up the fact that we're using a lot of ideas that are in Flashback, but it expands them in all sorts of new directions. And, not to the point where it's completely revolutionary, but it's a great continuation of that kind of game, of which we don't get anymore. So if you like those kinds of controls, and as we said, your lookbook is the original Prince of Persia and Flashback, basically, and Another World to a lesser extent, and maybe a little bit of Abe's Odyssey. If you like those kinds of games, you would absolutely love it, and it's right up there with the best of them, I would say. And it's a little bit bigger than Flashback, I'd say.
Yeah.
Not massively bigger, but a little bit bigger. And there are fewer frustrating sections. Like you said, it's been more updated for the modern audience. My only complaint in gameplay wise, because I think there probably are some around accessibility, because there's very few options in the game in general, but in terms of gameplay, is the save system. It doesn't really tell you when it's saving, and sometimes you can do a huge section and go, I mean, if you die and you go, oh bugger, I'm way back, that's one type of frustration. But when you do a large section and you come to a quiet part and you're like, right, okay, well, I think it's auto-saved, so I'll close it down because I need to play something else, or because my battery's about to die, or whatever reason, and then you turn it back on and you're way back, that's a bit crap. It could do... I understand they don't want you to save too often because, obviously that would make it too easy, but I think the save areas are a bit too widely spaced, and I think you should be in control.
Save states. Well,
that would be good. Just have the option.
Yes.
Yeah, having an achievement tied to not using any, and therefore, if you're asked about that kind of thing, you don't get that achievement. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Or at the very least, have the Hades system. Others have done it as well, where you go to the pool screen and it goes last saved X seconds ago.
Yeah.
Or last save 5 minutes ago. So you're like, right, okay, I'm going to lose this much time if I stop.
Every game should
now
have that. Yeah. Every game.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
If it doesn't have save states or save anywhere, then yeah, it should tell you how long since the last autosave. Yeah.
Now, I've seen other games will tell you, like, when you go to the save screen, it tells you autosave at this time of the day. Don't do that.
No.
Right, because I don't know what time it is. I don't want to have to go and check the time.
Well, it's...
Literally tell me, auto-saved X seconds ago.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of those user experience things where they've got it right in a way, but all they're really doing is printing the data against that save file on the screen. They're not thinking of it in terms of user experience. User experience is taking that data and then writing something that says you just saved it after you killed, Blobbit the Blood God or whatever, or 20 seconds ago or something like that. That's good user experience.
But I looked into this. This is going way off, but I looked into this a little while back in terms of how you can present time data. And basically, once your code knows the time, it can produce that in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. And in any position. So, in your actual, here's a list of saves and save files, fine. Have it date and time. Have that. That's absolutely fine. On your pause screen, at the bottom, last saved X seconds ago, X minutes ago, X hours ago. Have that at the bottom. Because then if it says to me, if I'm playing a game and it says, last saved 35 minutes ago, I can then make an informed choice of, right, okay, let me push on. I need to push on to where it next has an actual save point. Or I go, right, I'm only going to lose 3 minutes. I don't mind doing that again. I know then. And all it's doing is you take that save date data, you say, what's the difference between that save date data and your current save date, or your current time when the person hit pause. That's how many seconds or minutes or hours or days ago it was. And then you put that at the bottom of every pause screen.
Yeah.
Simple, done. I could do that, and I've only ever learned how to code through copying other people's code.
Yeah.
I could do that. So if I could do that, I'm sorry, I don't buy into the game development is hard bit for stuff like that. It's not. That's an accessibility feature that will benefit everyone and yourselves. Yeah. Because I've stopped playing games when I've gone, crap, I've lost 2 hours of gameplay here. I really can't be arsed anymore.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, it could well do that for people. Yeah. But I agree with you. Yeah, that should be.
But yeah, it's a very good game though. Aside from that was a big rant for a very small thing. But if we don't talk about it, who will? Not Jeff Gerstmann. That much I know. I don't know. He might do. He's the first big name gaming celebrity that I could pick out.
Fair play. Yeah.
Not Jeff Keighley, that's for sure. No. You got a problem, Jeff? Have some more Doritos and Mountain Dew. There you go. Now you stay quiet. You stay quiet and we'll bring you to celebrities, Jeff. I don't like people called Jeff, apparently.
No, apparently not. I quite like this tangent, though. I like it.
I don't know.
Do you want me to rescue you?
Do you want me to move on to my final game?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah?
Do it.
So the final game I've been playing is Mindhack. Which apparently just happened to me. Someone's just hacked me there completely.
Jeff did.
So Jeff got hold of me. Yeah, Jeff Gerstmann wants to take down Jeff Keighley, and he's using me to do it.
Not surprised.
It's the faculty thing, like invasion of body snatchers. You don't go in blowing out the front doors. You sneak in via the back door. So what Jeff Gerstmann's doing is using us to get to our 29 listeners, and then we'll grow from there. Clever,
Very
Jeff.
clever.
I know. I mean, I'm onto you.
Subtle.
I'm onto you. You're the gaming's Robert Patrick. I'm onto you, boy. Yeah. Anyway, Mindhack. Bit of clarity before I talk about it. I did do some interning with the PR company that sent me this game and do the PR for this game. So just get that out of the way. But Mindhack is a visual novel, text adventure type game. that doesn't lean too heavily into the visual novel tropes. So it's not full of questionable aged Japanese girls in questionable clothing. It's a very well done visual novel, where you play someone who works for, I don't know what to say, the government, the system, the man, or whatever it is, but you play as an agent type worker for the overbearing powers. And your job is, as a Mindhack, is to go in and change the perception and minds of evildoers, is what they call them. Evildoers.
Yeah.
Because evildoers all have a bug in their system. And you've got to go in and erase that bug and change their memories and change their minds so that they just become good people. Or sheep, maybe, we could use for this one. And as the game goes on, you start to uncover truths, shall we say, and the game starts to go places, but you still obviously got to do your job. You still got to go and do these mind hacks, and the story goes very 1984 in places, but without actually trying to be 1984, which I really, really, really like.
Oh.
So there's that to it. Visually, it looks really cool. It's all done from, like, I don't think I've ever played a first-person visual novel before. But this is a first-person visual novel. So you kind of, like, your hands are always in front of you. And then you get, like, the normal visual novel stuff, people talking to you, talking to each other in front of you. You can make your choices, all that. There's not mini games as such, but there's, like, mini actions you must take during the actual mind wipes and stuff like that. So you might need to erase a phrase or a word or something from someone's memory. So you have to, like, drag your mouse across and things like that to do it, or other little touches that you've got to do to change people's perceptions. And it's really good. It's really good. You can go wrong. You can absolutely, completely destroy people's minds, among other things. But yeah, it's, again, I know you're not a fan of the visual novel, Stu, so it's not what I'm going to say you would love. It's not going to turn people on to visual novels. It's very visual novel-esque. But for people who enjoy a good visual novel and enjoy a good story, it's really good. I really enjoy my time with it. And it's just over a tenner as well. And you know what? I'd rather pay a tenner for this than some movies I've watched of late. So, you know, there's that. It's better than Minority Report.
Like, everyone's got their own sort of price limit, but around a tenner is something that I normally don't think about too much. Like, I'll pay it. Like, Gunsuit Guardians £2.50. That's like, not even think about it. You know, it's just like bang, gone. But yeah, tenner's a decent price, and it sounds like a reasonable experience. I don't know if you're like this as well, but like sometimes there's stuff I just want to experience, and I don't want to, like, not get anywhere near completing, but also I don't mind that are not completed, but only if I'm in that world for an hour or two. And like, I'll buy a game because I just want to be part of that experience for a little bit, knowing that I won't get the full experience out of the game, but I'm happy to do it anyway. I don't know if you feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, actually, this is one of those games where I've not completed it, so full transparent, I've not completed it yet. I don't know how far into the actual story I am, but I just like being in the world, and the visual style's good. There's humour as well, in some ways. So the hand gestures that are made by your character are very important, and he uses, like, now and again you'll see, like, the odd, like, thumbs up and stuff like that, and it doesn't make you, like, belly laugh or anything like that, but it does give you, like when you maybe, like, watching a film and you get that one thing, or you read a book, you get that one thing, you just give us a wry little smile because, you know, that's, you know, it's like, it's such a serious thing you're watching, but they do that little human interaction thing. You give that wry little smile. It's got that element to it.
Yeah.
And it's very grey, but with lots of colour. And if you play it, that will make sense.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I might well give it a go. Yeah.
Have a look. I don't know if there's going to be a demo or anything like that, but have a look. It's really interesting. As I said, it's better than Minority Report, the film. That much I will say.
Oh, very good.
Which does which I say that because it's a similar sort of feel of precogs and stuff like that. Whereas this is doing for the Mindhack and changing people and 1984. It's got the influences are on its sleeve in a way, but it does its own thing. And yeah, pretty decent. It's out now as well.
Nice, cool.
Now, Steam Deck, video game controls, consoles, video game controls. Can we get some things sorted on game controls? We're at a point now where whether it's a Steam Deck or whether it's one of these other AO Neo things or whatever they're called, these other handheld PCs, this the fact that more games that were originally exclusively PC are coming to consoles, etc., etc. You've got to start thinking of controls, developers. You really have. You've got to start going, can we make this controllable with a controller? And don't just rely on the community to do it. It's like Moviehouse is a great example. It needs someone in the team to go, right, can we do this with controls? Or if not, can we create an actual profile for this? Stop relying on the community to do it or to fix your problems with mods or whatever. And my big issue with this, you often hear people go, oh, but the smaller developers can't do it. Well, they can, because they have done in the past. I've seen the individual developer make a game that can be controlled with a mouse and keyboard and a controller perfectly well. I've seen AAA developers make a game that can be controlled with a mouse and keyboard perfectly well. But on the flip side, I've seen big AAA developers that go, nah, we'll just do the one. That'll do. It was mouse and keyboard on the PC, so we'll do that. That's fine. And I've seen indie developers go, oh, but I don't want to, so I'm just going to... It was mouse and keyboard when I made it, and that's what it's going to be. You can't do that now. You know, they're predicting the Steam Deck is going to hit 3 million sales, which is not a lot, you know, when you compare it to a Nintendo Wii, a PlayStation 2, a PSP, etc. It's not a lot. But this is a brand new gaming system. For the first time, this is something completely new. And we're going to be predicted to hit 3 million sales by the end of this year. This is not small fry anymore. It's going to change the way gaming is perceived and the way PC gaming specifically is taken in. And you've got to get on board now. You've got to get in there. And I will use the example like Microsoft released, I want to say Age of Empires 2 HD or whatever it is, Definitive Edition, released that on Xbox a couple of months back with full controller support. On the Steam version, they've not added that controller support in, which makes it difficult to play on the Steam Deck. Why?
Blimey.
Why do that? You stick it in there. Right? You're Microsoft, for God's sake. Do it. And I've seen others like City Skylines is a mess to play on the Steam Deck for me. And again, I've seen the arguments going, yeah, but it's, you know, it's City Skylines, it's still an independent team, blah, blah, blah. Transport Fever 2 has absolutely perfect integration with a controller and a keyboard and mouse. Absolutely perfect. And even though it's not as good as City Skylines, I much prefer playing that than I do City Skylines because it's not a chore to play in terms of controls. I'm not fighting or trying to find ways to make the controls work. It just works. And that's from a much smaller team than the team behind City Skylines. It needs someone now, I think. Do you know where you got these middleware codecs and stuff like that that make games work in like across systems and stuff like that because they do the heavy lifting there? We need that for controller support or control support. Yeah. We need a middleware where someone could just stick that in and then configure that. That's what we need now because it's going to become a joke. People like some devs are going to lose out on sales because their games are uncontrollable, despite being great games. We need that. Someone needs to make some kind of middleware thing that basically takes the heavy lifting away from the developers, because they want to be creative. They want to construct the creativity. I get that. But you don't want to alienate a massive amounts of... If you want to leave potentially 3 million sales on the floor, go for it. But it's going to then damage you for your next game, your next game, your next game. And as that system grows, if you're still not getting behind the idea of everything should have all possible controls, you're going to fall behind further and further and further and further. And you're going to lose more and more sales. It's just one of those things. It really bugs me that, you know, I there are games that have both, but not on all systems. And that's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just, let's sort these controls out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of crazy that, you know, things have moved more towards like mobile first over the last, you know, decade or so. And, you know, you can roll into that, the Switch, and then later on the Steam Deck you know, thought of as mobile devices. And controllers have always been the de facto way of, you know, playing a game. And yeah, to not have that in your consideration is pretty crazy. And there's two layers to it. There's like, you should really be thinking about coding it in, and when you're in the design process, making sure that you've got the game built to a standard that can cope with and be accessible with a controller, even if the developer still prefers mouse and keyboard. It should still be playable properly. Secondly, if you can't do that for whatever reason, you should be there overnight with a Steam Deck as a developer, playing your game on it and going, Jesus Christ, I can't control this thing, it's fucking terrible, and creating a profile and making it the official profile. Because if I was in that situation, I would be embarrassed if my game wasn't playable in that, you know, by the largest number of people, and alienating an entire consumer base simply because you couldn't be bothered, or because you're a purist, or for whatever reason. And like you said, there's no excuse for it whatsoever, and it just needs to change.
Yeah. And also, have you never wanted to sit on your sofa, relaxed, and play a video game? Well, if you can't do that with your own game, something's a bit wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, you do you. Honestly, you do you. But it's now I'm noticing it more.
Yeah, I mean,
it's now possible. All consoles have multiple profile options, so you could, like, hotkeys and everything. We could now got always possible to switch between certain control types on a console as well. So it's there. The technology's there. Just use it.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, there's no excuse. There is no excuse.
But anyway, as developers all over the world, and Jeff, I know you're listening, will know, I'm going to shut up now and protect your ears.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very good point, and probably alienated a bunch of developers, but, you know, well, what can you do? The truth is the truth. But yeah, there we go. So as usual, have a good week. Hopefully the weather is good for you where you are. If not, stay inside, look at all our content, follow us on all the socials, join our Discord if you feel so moved, and until next time, stay safe and stay sane.